Hi, I'm Jazz. This is my video about how I've installed 12 volt DC power into my Peugeot partner micro camper. It's the most efficient use of power rather than fitting an inverter, although I have also fitted an inverter, so you can check that out and see what you think, if it's any good for you. So, bonnet's up, here's what's inside. I'll remove that cover. So basically, to take the battery out, you've got to undo these bolts here, take those off, and then this slides out. It's locked in down here. You've got down the side, you've got another bolt, so you need an extension bar to get that out. Take that out, then remove this as well, bring that back there out of the way. This first case comes off, and there's another bit underneath, so it's in two halves. So you've got obviously your positive here. I'm going to use this as the positive going into the leisure battery. So basically the negative's the other end of this battery, so you'd have to put that on as well, but leave all that off until you've actually set all the rest of it up and keep all the breaker switches in the off position. So once you've removed this, right down there, awkwardly, you've got a grommet, which you can stick a bradawl for it so it pierces through on the other side, through the firewall and out in the footwell. And we just go around to that now. Alright, just opening the frozen door. And then straight in to the inside of the firewall. So you want to pull this carpet back here, reach up as hard as you can, as high as you can even, and you should find the sharp side of the bradawl that I've poked in there. So then go back round to the front of the vehicle, the engine side, push the 3-meter cables as far through as possible, leaving enough to reconnect the battery on the other side, on the engine side. Right, so that's that. So just turn this off. So follow the trim all the way along with those wires underneath, the positive and the negative. Bring them out here. So that's your positive, and that's a 10 gauge cable up to the lug. Secure that there on the 30 amp breaker fuse, and then that continues on the load side all the way along, and that goes through, as you can see up there, and you've got the B2B charger just there. So you want to connect that positive cable to the input of the B2B charger. Then we go around to the other side. So now we're in the rear door, just behind the passenger's seat. So if you lift up this curtain out of the way, under the floor, this has usually got an end cap so you don't see all this mess. Under the floor, you should be able to see it, hopefully. Yep, you got B2B charger, that's a 20 amp B2B charger, and the next cable is coming off of the output, which is that one you can see. So that's the positive coming off the output of the B2B charger. I'll just go around to the front, and then that comes out through there, through the fuse, just connecting that as you go, and then it comes back round there and then up to the bus bar terminal. That's a 150 amp terminal, and that is coming out of the output of the B2B charger. And again around the post, and that just follows up here, through here, onto the bus bar again to the thicker post. That just goes straight to that, and again you've got this terminal comes off of it, which will eventually be going to the battery. So going under the floor again, as you can see, you've got a third cable that goes to the D+ on the B2B charger, and that's a 16 gauge cable. Again, that just comes through the front, around this post again, along here, underneath here, back up here, along the trim, and that comes to a switch, an on-off switch, which I wanted to put on here. So basically, if my leisure battery is fully charged, obviously I don't want it to just keep charging. I know it's got a stopper on it, but it's just better to turn that off. Or if I'm not going to use the vehicle for a while, on my way on holiday, whatever, I can just turn that off, along with all the other circuit breakers that I've got over here, the other three. Turn all of those off, and that's it, everything's kaput. So, and then from that switch, just the other side of it, it comes up into the fuse box here, and I've connected that to fuse box number 14. Obviously that's on a Peugeot partner Teepe. It's going to vary depending on what you've got. So I've used a pigtail, one of these things, and basically you just connect from your D to, you know, where you've come out of that switch with the D to D plus wire, just crimp that on there, and then plug this directly into your fuse box number 14 on this, as I said, but you'll be able to look around and see what you can find. It needs to be one that is only on when you turn the ignition on, so otherwise it'll be draining all the time. Obviously I'll put a switch on it, but that's what you want to do. And the original fuse that you've taken out of that goes in the bottom, and then the top fuse, which is going to be always going to be a lower rating. Like the bottom fuse is 15 amp, the top one is 10, and that's just for that, for the charging unit, and that's what they recommend, so that's what I've used. So shut that up. So just to reiterate about the piggyback fuses, make sure you get the right one, because there's 3 different types. I think this one's called a mini one, there's a micro and there's a micro 2, but I think this is a mini piggyback fuse. Yeah, so that's it. Just make sure you get the right one. It's a pain in the bum otherwise. Whilst doing this, make sure you use a multimeter to test the socket is only live when the ignition is turned on. Yep, so the other thing I meant to say regarding the piggyback fuses is the far right side prong of the piggyback fuse plugs into the live side of the fuse socket in the fuse box. So make sure you get that right, otherwise it's going to blow. Thank you. Now to add the hardwired accessories to the positive and negative bus bars. With inline fuses, you could use a fuse box if you would prefer. So here we got 150 amp bus bar in positive, and then we got the negative there. So all the accessories are basically coming off of that. You got 4 coming off here, all the positives, and then you got the 4 negatives over here. And I have labelled these, just my own reference, and that's a 3-way panel switch. You've got mood lights there, you've got double ceiling lights, and you've also got a battery monitor there. So that's that. These 2 cables, obviously this is one, is the negative, that's coming off the negative bus bar off the heavier stud, and then you've got the positive on the other side doing the same. They will eventually plug into the battery, as I did explain earlier before. So now I'll go over some of the products. So now I'll go over some of the products that I use to fit everything together. So this is the flexible trunking cable, which I'll be covering a lot of the wires with, so you don't have to worry about that. That's fire resistant as well, or something. Fire retardant, is that the word? Little fuse box if you want to go that way instead. Stanley knife. 5 amp cables just for general sort of smaller units, bits and pieces, monitors, USB ports and lighting, various things like that. And you got your cutters for cutting the wires. This is a cutter, a crimper and a wire stripper. It's a pretty useful tool, well worth getting. What else we got? Some on some of the bigger lugs that won't do it, so a pair of mole grips, unless you want to spend your money on something a bit more fancy, but it does the trick, it crushes them, and that's all well and groovy. I've also used PVC tape, red and black, onto sort of the end where I've put the lugs on, just to sort of give it an extra bit of covering. This is the wonderful piggyback that I was talking about, and then you've got inline fuses here. That's a micro one. Inline fuse there, that's a standard fuse. What else? These are just for holding cables together. Obviously you got your various fittings, lugs, other fittings for the end of cables, terminals, and a multimeter, which is very useful, well worth getting. You're going to use that a load. The other thing, Vaseline. Don't forget the Vaseline, because we are the Vaseline gang. Yeah, so it's not suspicious at all, although it's multi-purpose. You can do whatever you like with it. It's just for lubricating the joints sort of on the battery, so you get a good connection. But another use for it is cotton wool balls. You can smear cotton wool balls with Vaseline and put it in your emergency kit, and it's a really good fire starter if you get caught out in the back of beyond somewhere. So there you go, bits and pieces as your father's. Rightio, there you go. So here we are. I've done me groovy trunking everywhere, tidied that up. Not quite so much spaghetti junction going on, a little bit more tidying to do, nothing too dramatic. So there's the lithium battery that I'm using. I've connected both the positive and the negative from the 2 bus bars. I've turned all the fusing on. The car engine is now running, and also I've turned this switch on now. Let it focus, there you go, which is for the B2B charger under there, and the green light is on, which means everything's sexy. Woohoo! Right, so I think that's it. Right, so with that said, I had a little afterthought, and I shall tell you about that in a moment. There it is there. Anyway, as you can hear, the engine's running, and I forgot to mention, as well as connecting all of these leads here, obviously I connected the one under the bonnet as well, so that's all great. Anyway, I decided I'd fit this 1000-watt inverter after all, just because I was doing all these other bits. So I'll try and let you see. That sort of it goes under there, hidden away under my floor again, which is very useful for fitting things upside down. As you can see, upside down, these are the right way up. That's all connected turn that on, lights, action. So yeah, simple to connect, literally just this thick, what is it, 4 gauge wire, and the positive 4 gauge wire with 150 amp fuse on it. There's also an earth coming off this unit which I've connected to this, so it runs down here. There you go, down here, down there, under there. On the other side of that there's a washer, then the cable, then another washer, then it braces against a piece of metal which braces against the body. So I think that is it. Yeah, so you don't get off that easy. Basically with the 1000 watt inverter that I've fitted, it goes with this battery here, which is 100 amp hour, which is the maximum you want. That's the top. It's 1000 watt for the 100 amp hour. So now I should take you around to here. It's my three-way panel switch, so just turn that on, and again you've got a voltmeter there, 2 quick charge USBs, and there you've got your cigarette type adapter socket. Turn that off, and then here you've got a very basic battery capacity voltage monitor, which is not compatible with lithium batteries, so I need to change that over and get either a shunt or a hall sensor type monitor, which I may do at a later date. But on there you've also got quick charge USB and type C that you can use as well. And then over here, that's the that's the Groovy Mood lights. They're on a dimmable, switchable unit, so you can speed it up, slow it down, do what you like. All these different things. So that's that for your Disco Inferno. So I just turn that off with a switch, and then turn the other lights on with another switch that's just there, and then you've got that light, which is it's got 3 different settings, so you can go down low, or you can change the type of light. So same thing here, so you just, whatever you fancy, you've got it, 2 different lights if you want. So that's that. So I shall take that out, and again just turn that switch off, and that's it. That's basically all of the electrical hardwired units that I use. Obviously with all these charging possibilities here, a lot of the electrical equipment I've got is USB or cigarette, so a lot of that is chargeable, as well as you can just plug it into the USB as well, so you've got options there, but I'm not likely to run out of power. So I shall oh God, I'm gonna freeze. Anyway, ta-ta, 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 ta-ta. Okay, that's it. If you've made it all the way through, then thanks for watching. If you haven't, then try harder next time. Thank you, goodbye.